topics and opinions expressed on the following show are solely those of the hosts and their guests and not those of W4WN Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4WN Radio, its employees, or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4WN Radio.
This is Beyond Confidence with your host, Divya Parekh. Do you want to live a more fulfilling life? Do you want to live your legacy and achieve your personal, professional, and financial goals? Well, coming up on Divya Parekh's Beyond Confidence, you will hear real stories of leaders, entrepreneurs, and achievers who have stepped into discomfort, shattered their status quo, and are living the life they want. You will learn how relationships are the key to achieving your aspirations and financial goals. Moving your career or business forward does not have to happen at the expense of your personal or family life, or vice versa. Learn more at www.divyaparekh.com, and you can connect with Divya at contact@divyaparekh.com. This is Beyond Confidence, and now here's your host, Divya Parekh.
Good morning. It's Tuesday, and I gotta share with you, I'm full of energy today because it's hot and humid. And you may be thinking, what does hot and humid have to do with having pots of energy? So here's what I'll share with you. It is so important to have an incentive to reward yourself when you do something good. So usually every morning I try to get in my walk, I try to get in my meditation, and at the end of the walk, depending on where I'm walking, so usually there is this trail where at the end of it, it ends in a park, and I went swinging, and it was so much fun. So think about it. What do children do? Children love to play. And same for you. Doesn't matter how old you are, find that time for yourself to play. And thank you to those of you who have got our books and left us a review. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Because without you supporting us, we cannot share the profits from our books with Kiva.org, helping entrepreneurs all across the globe. So if you have not got your copy, you can get either one of those two, the Entrepreneur's Garden or Expert to Influencer, because they will impact your life. Not only that, they will help us impact other people's lives. And I highly encourage you to take 1 hour of your time every month and help somebody with no strings attached. Keep that kindness going. And let's bring our guest in. Welcome, Vicki Lemire.
Thank you for having me. Nice to see you, Divya.
Oh, nice to have you and wonderful to see you. So Vicki, usually we start out from childhood. So tell us, was there any person in your life that left a mark on you? Or is there a moment from your childhood that's still as fresh as ever that you could close your eyes and picture it like that?
I would have to say it was my grandmother. Because I used to spend summers at the lake with my grandmother, and I think those are the happiest memories I ever had. One of the things I could do was make her laugh. So I was very happy when she laughed. I guess I was funny, and she would just slap her knees, and she'd be laughing. So I think I got a love for making people laugh. So actually today I do stand-up comedy. I've been doing it for about 20 years, and it just gives me a lot of joy. But, I had an abusive childhood. So my memories at my home were not good, both from my mother and father. And then, of course, carried that victim mentality into my teen years, and I got pregnant when I was 16 with an abusive person, and so I suffered 2 abusive marriages, and I had 2 kids before I was 18. So, and then another one at 20. So I And of course, today I'm a great grandmother. So, but I've never had plastic surgery. And I think that what I learned is how to change on the inside. And what you said at the beginning of the show was so important. I mean, there's three things I do every day. I exercise my body, I exercise my mind, but most important, I exercise my spirit. So I pray a lot, I chant because I'm a Buddhist, but that's our praying. That's our praying is chanting. So,
Hmm.
yes.
I'm sorry to hear that you had a rough childhood, and yet I'm glad that you had this wonderful spark and light in your life from
Yeah.
your grandma, because through the darkness there's always pockets of light that stay with us and guide us to the end of the tunnel, so to speak. So you mentioned that you had two kids before you were 18. So how did that work out for you as such a, like, you were a child yourself and having two kids? How did that
Yeah.
impact your teenage years and as you went into your 20s?
Yeah, I felt like I lost the most important years of my life. Although it was my choice, my mother offered me to have an abortion, but I said, no, I want my baby. I think my mother always talked about how she loved being a mother and it was the most wonderful thing. So I think I wasn't afraid to be a mother. And it was a struggle, mostly because of the abusive men that were in my life. And
Mm,
my father also was abusive because he was an alcoholic. So he used to, knock us around. And so I grew up thinking that that's what love was, because then he'd say, I love, he loved us. So, and so it was very confusing, like the double blind, I love you, bang. I'm sorry, I love you, bang. So,
mhm.
it- I think I went through the first part of my life until I found my spiritual practice. I was searching through my whole life to find a practice that could help me turn my life around because, well, I didn't realize that it was me. I was blaming everybody. Like, I remember when I started practicing Buddhism, I was telling my Buddhist leader, well, my mother did this, and my father, and my husband, and I was pointing my finger, and they took my finger and they turned it around, and it's you. And I went, what? It's me? How can it be me? um, it's your life. You attracted this, so you have to own it. And by owning it, this was the biggest lesson I ever learned. I could turn my life around because now I was in control. Instead of having the universe slap me around like a rag doll, I was in the driver's seat. I could control what happened to me because I owned all the stuff that I thought was
Right, right. So, like,
because
as you were kind of in your 20s, what
yes.
career did you pick up? How did you step into
Well,
motherhood? Tell us about that.
I was, through my 20s, I would say I was in a very low point in searching. I wanted to find peace and happiness.
Hmm.
And I tried all different philosophies. I mean, um, I was born Christian, but I didn't have quite enough guilt in my life. So I converted to Judaism, and then I had, so then I was trying all different stuff, LifeSpring, Ask, Scientology, everything. And then when I came on Buddhism, I went like, aha, this is it. This is what I've been searching for, is this peace and happiness, and working for world peace, and like you mentioned, helping other people. Nothing is more gratifying and adds to your benefits in life than taking responsibility for helping other people. And that's something I do. I'm a leader in my community, and I help people who are suffering and teach them how they too can be happy, you know,
Hmm.
because that's our human right. That's the reason we were born, to be happy, not to suffer. So,
Absolutely. Because if we take a look at children, even if they have tiffs, you'll be surprised that parents will get offended. Oh, your child said this to my child, or And it's so amazing. If you let the children work it out, they'll work it out. They may go at each other 1 minute, and after 15-20 minutes, they're playing as if nothing had happened, so they don't hold on to things.
Right.
So, how
I
did
think,
you transition from the role of victim? Like you mentioned that, you were experiencing and you did had a lot in your life that you went through. How did you heal yourself?
well, I healed from the inside out. It was like, first the realization, okay, well, this is my life. I guess these things happened to me because I brought them to me. We call it karma. So with that realization, I was able to turn my life around and start to realize that there's two kinds of happiness in this world. There's relative happiness and absolute happiness. So relative happiness is based on things like having the right partner, having money, cars, clothes, all the material stuff. But it's relative. It doesn't make you happy. But when you develop your faith, you develop this unshakable happiness. It's solid. It's not based on anyone or anything. It's based on your life condition. So when you raise your life condition, you actually attract things to you that are wonderful. You change what you attract. So this is what I did. I call it my human revolution. And it's just it's not an easy thing. But it's so worth it. It takes time because you make mistakes. When I started praying more, I saw things about myself I didn't like. And so what was nice is I could work on them. So instead of thinking, oh, it's okay to be this way or that way, I went, no, it's not. That's not okay. So then but I couldn't see them before until I raised my life condition where my spirit would show me things that I needed to change about myself, so
Mhm.
yeah.
So, what I'm hearing is that the first step is the awareness of what is. And when you have that awareness, you realize that, yes, material things will bring joy because there is an element of satisfaction and element of attraction which drives this world. People are
Right.
going after that. And yet, what happens is that I have had few clients who have been super rich and yet have not been happy because they're seeking that happiness within. So, what you're talking about is that absolute happiness. Now, as we talk about like transitioning or having that balance between relative and absolute happiness, tell us, like, as you were traversing this journey, what career did you have and how did you bring that side of the world in life? Like, gotta pay the bills, we gotta
Right. Well,
continue the life's journey, raising kids and all that.
they say that earthly desires in this practice that I do, earthly desires equal enlightenment. So they're not saying you can be happy if you're living on the street or, if you have nothing. But so the material things are there, but it's like you don't live to have the material things. You live to help other people and work for world peace and things like that. And because of these higher goals, these other things naturally come to you. So I think it's a matter of changing uh, the way you look at things. Like, we don't look for happiness outside of ourselves. We look for it inside of ourselves. That's the lesson that I've learned. But like you say, you need to have things. They definitely add to your happiness. They just can't be your happiness. Like, look how many people, stars with money, fame, everything, houses, cars, they take their lives, because they're miserable. They're empty inside. They have not filled that void inside of them with spirit, with faith. And I think that's the most important thing, that I've
Mhm.
learned anyway. So
Yeah, absolutely. So that's amazing. Like what you're talking about is that finding that deep well of contentment or deep well of connection within and exploring the potentialities. And when you explore the potentialities, possibilities arise from those.
right.
So if you're open to it, like going back to it, because our audience is always curious about the person behind the story. It's like you mentioned, you're a great grandmother. So, how did your relationship evolve with your children, and how did the rest of your life move forward?
Well, I have 3 children, 4 grandchildren, and 3 great grandchildren. So, I kind of grew up with my kids, I guess, but I was in
Hmm.
stages of abuse and not understanding life and not knowing what to do. And, I was a model from 15 to 30, but I'd never felt pretty or beautiful or
Mm.
cute. People, I felt, oh, people just say that, but they don't know how miserable I am. I mean, I never felt that. So it didn't help me. And then when I was 30, I moved to Los Angeles to pursue an acting career. And, in my 30s is when I started to turn my life around. I was searching for everything. And so I became, well, I actually worked as a private investigator for 7 years when I first moved to California. But I crossed the border with 3 children, a cat, and a dog in a camper. I came from Canada. And so I was an illegal alien, but I just wanted to get away from the cold. I lived in Winnipeg, which was the coldest city in the world. I mean, it's 30 below for 3 months. With the wind chill, it's 90 below. It's actually the coldest city in the world. Yeah. Colder than Moscow. So
Wow.
here I was with 3 children. My youngest daughter had brain damage when she was born. So it
Oh,
was,
sorry to hear that.
yeah. And so it was very difficult for her to get around
Mhm.
in the snow. And so I knew I had to get out of Canada. And, the doctors told me that she would not live past 30. And I'm happy to say that she today is 52.
Oh, that's wonderful to hear.
Yes, and it's my faith because, I mean, I think I have changed my karma, my inner person, so that she doesn't have to suffer from me being a victim. I have changed that, so she doesn't have to be a victim. And she
Hmm.
is the happiest person that I know. She never stops smiling. She says, "Mom, I'm a happy girl."
Oh, that's wonderful. And see, we always learn from our kids, and what you're sharing is that you are the role model for your kids, how to be. That yes, you can have lemons in your life, you can have adversities and challenges and trauma, and those don't define you. You're more than that. You can rise above it. So, what a wonderful story, Vicky. So, tell us, like, when you came through that, like, crossing the border, that's amazing story. And now you have become part of the main fabric of the society. So tell us, like, what led you to become a private investigator, or were you working with someone, and what was that experience like?
It was crazy. It was crazy. Uh, so yeah, I did that for 7 years, but I think it mostly was because I could get paid, because I didn't have a green card, I didn't have a social security, so I could get paid under the table, so to speak. But it was, to me, it turned out to be very negative work because I was always looking for people to mess up and write up a report and, they would get fired. And, so, I mean, we followed some stars around. We followed Brian Wilson from the Beach Boys, that was one of our assignments. Or we followed cheating husbands. And, it's just like, or watch people in restaurants. One of our jobs was we had chains of restaurants. We would shop. So you'd go sit at the bar and watch the bartender. And if he steals, you'd write him up. And so I just felt like I
Mm.
want to be, I'm sure being a policeman is the same kind of work. It's just so negative. It was just so negative. I go, I can't do this anymore because I don't want to ruin people's lives. I want to add to people's lives. At that point, I had not found my spirit. I had not done my human revolution. So after that, I started pursuing my acting career, and I became an actress, and I've appeared on many shows and movies and stage. I've done some stage shows, and so that's still part of my life. That's something that I still do. I entertain. I do a one-woman show where I
And
sing.
here's the thing, that any of those experiences don't detract. They all together come together and make the person you are today. So, as part of acting, do share a couple of shows that we may know about.
Well, I was in Scarface. I had a featured role as a SAG actress. No lines, just where the camera would be on me at certain
Mhm.
times. I was on Cheers, General Hospital. I was in a TV series with Joe Namath called Waverly Wonders. I think I was in more TV series that never made it past um, the beginning stages. They never made it past what do you call it when they're first putting them out. Anyway, they didn't get picked up. They were just the first trial. I did a
Like
TV
the
series.
pilots.
Pardon? They were pilots.
Pilots?
Yes.
But General Hospital ran for years.
Pardon? Oh yeah, but that wasn't one of them. I just had a small part as a nurse.
It doesn't matter, you are still part of it, because think about it. If it's only like main characters, then it would look so awkward if there were not other people. Because I've seen some movie shootings and it's amazing how much work so many people put in just to shoot one shot. We see something like, one frame on the screen, and we do not realize how many people and how much work. It is just fascinating to me to see how that thing is produced. So it's just amazing and a fascinating work. So, what would you say your lessons were from being an actor?
Well, I think that I worked with a lot of stars, but I think they're just people, and it's nice when they are nice and they don't feel like they're above you, and treat you nicely. I worked with Michelle Pfeiffer on Scarface, and I remember standing and we were waiting to go on for the scene, and she was just very kind and nice. And she got discovered at Vaughn's. She was a checker, so she had humble beginnings. And so, and then she was very skinny, and I asked her if she had to lose a lot of weight for the role, and she said, "Yeah, because I'm a cocaine addict, in this movie." But she was lovely, and I did a TV series on the Hillside Strangler. I was one of the victims. It was called 11th Victim, and I think it was about I can't remember the name of the serial killer, but anyway, I got knocked off in the first scene. So, but I had to go against 300 women, and then they narrowed it down to 3 women. And I went into a room with producers, directors, casting. There was like 20 people when I came in for my final uh, reading, and in front of all these executives, just to get 1 or 2 lines in a TV series. It was like, this is crazy.
Well, it tells us, right, that
Yeah.
you have to put in effort. It's not as glamorous as it looks. It requires work. So a lot of women, a lot of men think about, yep, let's hit the streets of Hollywood. And
Yeah.
it's important to have that realistic approach. It's not to say, like you said, that Michelle Pfeiffer was a teller in once and she was discovered, and look where she's right now. So there is no end to possibilities and what could be. The key is also keeping that in mind to be realistic about it and knowing
Yeah.
that you'll have to put in the work. There may be disappointments. That doesn't mean you can go after your dream. So you're mentioning about your one woman show. Let's hear about that.
Yes, so I performed at the Gardenia Cafe in West Hollywood, and I do a one-woman show where I sing and I dance and I do comedy, and that was just like the greatest love of for me. I remember telling people, "Well, I want to sing and I want to dance and I want to do comedy," and they went, "No, no, no, you can't do all three of those." And I go, "Why not?" Well, I don't know which one I want most, so I want to do all three. So I met this musical director, and I got up and sang at one of my friend's shows. And he said, "You should do your own show." And I said, "Well, you don't understand. I want to do comedy, I want to sing, and I want to dance." He goes, "That's a cabaret act. You could do a cabaret." I said, "Oh, okay, well." And so I started working with him, and I eventually ended up doing 2 or 3 shows at this wonderful little nightclub in West Hollywood. And I think like Ella Fitzgerald had sang there. It's like it was kind of a jazz club, but it was like, this is my dream. I was in heaven. So today I do a one woman show. I don't do so much dancing because, but I do move on stage well. And I do it at retirement homes. And this is a job for me. I go there and I write comedy for seniors, and I sing and I entertain them. I go into the audience and talk to them, and I flirt with the old guys, and they just love it. I mean, but for me to be able to make people happy like that, it gives me so much joy. It's so satisfying. I
Mhm.
paid for it as well. So that's really great.
And it brings us back to where we started, that you love helping people, you're a leader in the community.
Mhm.
So going back to your stage, like, you came, you decided, like, I want to do all of it, and you were able to do it. So there's so many people who have got stage fright, and people hate getting on stage and in the limelight. What are the few tips that you can tell them that
There's no, there's no greater high than facing your biggest fears. Because if okay, I'm doing stand-up comedy now. I'll be performing on Sunday, August 30th at the famous Improv on Melrose with 12 other people, with 10 other people. But it's just you know, when you face your fear and you overcome it, like going on stage to do stand-up comedy is the hardest thing I've ever done,
Mhm.
but it's the most rewarding when you can. And the whole key is to connect with the audience. If you're just all about your material, what you're going to do, nobody laughs. But if you're really there, it's for them. You're there to make them have fun. It's not about you having fun. But I'll tell you, when the people are laughing at your material, there's no greater high. There's no greater feeling. It's the best drug.
Oh, I can imagine, because it's amazing how when we make others happy, happiness just kind of walks into our lives and it becomes part of us. You don't have to go seeking it. So, from what you're sharing, is that have the focus on what value you will deliver to your audience. And when you're doing that, you're shifting the focus away from yourself. And when you do that, then that fear goes away because you're thinking about someone else, not about yourself. Because
Yeah,
there's something called spotlight effect, where we are thinking, oh, how are other people going to be thinking about me? And what they found was in this study that most of the people are thinking that. So when you're
mm,
talking, most of the people are not thinking about you, they are engaged in some other thought. And we get so caught up in the spotlight effect. How will people perceive what I'm saying, what I'm doing, and how I'm talking, how I'm presenting? But that's not the case. So take that. So that's very powerful. And since you talked about only if it works for you, would you be open to sharing some of your laughter material with us? Because it would be amazing for our audience.
Sure, sure. I think I could find something clean. So, you get to a certain age in life, like me, 39, laugh, laugh, laugh. That's not funny. Okay, that's my boob measurement, 39. Long. Yes.
Okay, got it, got it. So, thank you for sharing, Vicki. And so, yeah, we do like to keep it clean.
Yeah.
So,
So,
with that, and so let me ask you, as we are getting closer to the end of our show, what else would you like to tell our audience?
well, I'd like to read a few quotes on hope, if I may.
Yes, absolutely.
All right. So, when we plant seeds of self-doubt, only noxious weeds sprout. When we limit ourselves with low expectations, the growth of the tree of happiness immediately ceases. The power of growth, of improvement, the power to overcome all stagnation and break through every obstacle and transform a barren wasteland into a verdant field, that unstoppable power of hope resides right there in your own heart. It will well up from the rich earth of your innermost being when you face the future without doubt or fear. I can do more. I can grow. I can become a bigger and better human being. Life and faith are a never ending struggle to grow.
Powerful.
Yes, so that's a very important quote. And I think developing hope is just, faith is the engine that enables people to live with hope throughout their lives. We must live with vibrant hope. Nothing is more strong than hope. And hope itself is eternal. Happiness belongs to those who never despair, no matter what happens. In Buddhism, we talk about 5 poisons that destroy our life. And the first 3 I kind of remember like gas: greed, anger, and stupidity. So those are the 3 most powerful poisons. And then the other 2 are doubt and fear. So these poisons, they're the voices, the negative voices you hear. But when you learn through faith to push those negative voices down inside of you, you allow the positive voices to come up. Because, we've all experienced, I'm too fat, I'm too old, I'm too whatever, to do this. But we have to say, no, I can do it. And that's by raising our life condition through our faith, we can push down these poisons: greed, anger, stupidity, worry, and doubt.
Very
So
nice.
yes. And then there's 5 keys that I try to live by every day. And these were not, I did not come up with this. Daisaku Ikeda, who's the president of our organization for world peace, he came up with these. So the number 1 thing is, these are 5 keys for happiness and success in life and fulfillment. The first one is appreciation, which we all know. Second, live in the present. Third, be determined to win. Fourth, no slandering and no complaining. That's a hard one for me. And number 5 is think positively about everything. So those are 5 keys for being happy.
Yeah, no, that is those definitely, when you appreciate life and you appreciate others, it helps you appreciate yourself and be grateful for what you got. So thank you for joining us, Vicki. Where can our audience find you, and tell us where your book can be found?
Yes, well, my book is called Saving Face, and it's on Amazon. If you go to Amazon, Saving Face, uh, by Vicki Lemaire, Vicki with an I, and Lemaire is two words, L-E, capital M-E-R-E, or you can go to my website, vicki-lemaire.com, all lowercase. And I thank you so much for having me on, Divya. It was just such a pleasure.
Well, thank you, Vicki, for joining us, and blessings to you and on your journey as you continue helping others. And thank you, listeners, for joining us, because without you, the show would not be possible. Reach out to us for any questions, any experts that you would like us to bring on so that you can live the life you deserve, because you deserve the best lifestyle that's out there. And thank you, Juan, for making the show technically possible. Until next time, take care and be well.
Thank you for being part of Beyond Confidence with your host, Divya Parekh. We hope you have learned more about how to start living the life you want. Each week on Beyond Confidence, you hear stories of real people who have experienced growth by overcoming their fears and building meaningful relationships. During Beyond Confidence, Divya Parekh shares what happened to her when she stepped out of her comfort zone to work directly with people across the globe. She not only coaches people how to form heart connections, but also transform relationships to mutually beneficial partnerships as they strive to live the life they want. If you are ready to live the life you want and leverage your strengths, learn more at www.divyaparekh.com. And you can connect with Divya at contact@divyaparekh.com. We look forward to you joining us next week.